Wow. Welcome to Targeted, the show where we expose masculinity and success. And I'm your host, Atlas Aultman, former military commander, director of special operations communications, and just all-around good guy. We are not a dying breed. We have a lot of ground to cover, from strength to writing to inner focus. You have what it takes, and I'm about to bring it out through the stories of the people that have already done it. Welcome. This is Targeted.
Welcome back to the show. Today is an amazing one. I've been trying to get Antonio for a while, and I met him a couple years ago on set at a national competition, a TV show for Great American Speak Off. He had an amazing story, and ever since then, I've been following him on all the socials, been watching him blow up, just making moves, just amazing man. Yeah. And I asked him to be on the show, and we've been trying to work this out for a minute, and we finally got it. Yep. Antonio Diaz, for those of you who may not know, he is a husband, he is a father, he is a Christian, he's a pro bodybuilder, but he helps people every day in the mental health field. So I'm going to let him explain what he's been doing, what he is doing, and who he is. Antonio.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for inviting me out. Always a pleasure. So for me, I never. What's interesting is I never thought I'd be doing this, but I'm helping people help people work through suicidal ideation, in majority mental health, really on how to navigate coping skills, and be able to pursue, the breakthrough they're looking for to not end their life. So, I've been doing that for like 3 years now, and it's very rewarding. It could be very stressful, very rewarding, but that's what I'm doing now. And on top of, I'm a bodybuilder. I'm also, very passionate about working with young men. Young boys to become men. Because we need more people to step up and not be afraid. So I got my hands in a lot of different things, and the primary focus right now, obviously, is the mental health aspect. That's just the daily constant dealing with people going through some real life stuff.
Yeah.
Period.
That's got to be insane for you too. And I know we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
But just like every show that we do here, I'm going to start at the beginning.
Yep.
I want to start at how you got there. I want to see this journey of how you got to this point to where you're helping so many people help other people.
Yeah.
So tell me about your childhood. How was your childhood?
So all right, we'll open up that box of school. So so from 5 years old, from what I can really remember, mother gave us away. It was unwillingly, just a bad situation. Cops got called, CPS came through. They're like, listen, we're going to take the kids, or you take them somewhere.
How old were you?
I was 5.
5,
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Father not present. At that time, be honest with you, and being more transparent, a lot of people that went to school with me, my name in school, in elementary through, K through 12.
Yeah.
My first name was Shamel. And that name was given to me by the people that took us in, because my mother told the lady that adopted me that her brother was my father. So we had a place to stay.
Oh my gosh.
Very interesting story. So
did you know that at the time?
No idea.
So you were Antonio for a minute, and then you were Shamel. And
no, Antonio first.
You were Antonio
Wait
first.
Till you hear how the whole.
I want to. Holy crap, man!
It's a very, very good story. So, and again, I can't make this up. That's why it's such a good story. So, given away, and I could tell you right now, the people that raised us, very old school. I mean, I didn't get disciplined for what was best for me. I got disciplined because they were tired of telling us to do stuff. They were tired of telling us to, simple things, right? Yeah. But the problem with it is if you're not teaching someone how to do something correctly, right? How are you disciplining on them when they mess up? And a lot of times we were getting disciplined out of anger. And so, being disciplined, violent home, I've seen I've seen a lot. Suicide. I've seen somebody get shot. And I've seen some stuff going on
in your house.
Oh yeah.
How many other kids were in your house?
I mean, listen, it was my brother and sister went to the other sister.
Yeah.
There were also, children in the house as well. And it was just a big family house. They always stayed together. They moved out, came back, came back. I experienced my first in-person, I identified the body, suicide body, head blown off. Imagine that in fifth grade, right?
Fifth grade.
So keep in mind, I'm going to 5th grade. I'm in school.
Yeah.
PINS, person in need of supervision. I was on that in 4th grade to 5th because I fought a lot. Very angry child, but I was taught, don't let people bully you. And I didn't grow up with any cousins, any relatives around me. So we always had to stand our ground. And I got into a lot of fights. I didn't like disrespect. And I had a probation officer, 4th and 5th grade. I was on Ritalin. Now, the little thing about Ritalin, right?
Yeah.
They banned it for a reason.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about the story is I started pocketing it. So I would put it in my throat and cough it back up.
So you could have it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It would mess me up. I was a zombie. Literally stuck. This is me all day. And they're like, hey, are you all right? I was like in a trance, man.
Yeah.
So I said, I stopped myself from so I would put it in my pocket, spit it up. I had a pocket full of Ritalin pills. No lie. And they were like, your behavior is improving. The whole time I'm not taking it anymore.
Yeah.
So, and again, I can't fault the people for how they raised us, right?
Now hold on.
Yeah, I know
Let's
it's a lot.
stay there.
I know it's a lot.
Like you were pocketing the Ritalin.
Yep.
And your behavior improved.
Yeah.
Were you acting like? Did you know that you had to change in order for them to get off your back? And like, how were you dealing with that?
Great question. So there was a lady by the name of Josephula, Canadian lady. She was my 5th grade teacher. I think the first time in my life I experienced somebody that really cared, and she was a major reason why I changed. And that's when I identified, like, I don't need this medicine.
And how'd you meet
this
her?
was 5th grade. 5th grade teacher.
5th grade teacher.
Yeah, that was the biggest change.
Wow.
Biggest change, man. I know. So, and that lady is still in my life today. She chose the college I went to, everything. I trusted her with decision making for me. Yeah, so God is good, man. I had good people in my life.
Sure.
A few good people. But I've been through a lot,
Yes, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well, you're just scratching the surface.
Yeah, we're just scratching the surface.
How many other kids were in your house?
So you got my brother, my sister, my older sister was in she actually got put in foster care.
Okay.
There's a dark story I don't want to unpack
Oh.
because it's real dark. But make a long story short, there was some stories about some sexual abuse, some bizarre things going on in that house. A lot of things that people still deal with today, and that's the only reason I didn't talk about it, because some people just didn't accept the reality of what was going on.
And it's so hard to get through that.
Yeah,
like that is a lot to unpack for anyone just even listening.
100%.
So I mean, you can go there if you want.
Yeah.
But the whole purpose of the show is to realize that these successful men didn't just get born this way. There's a hard journey through childhood that you took.
Yeah.
You took that journey.
Yeah.
And did you feel at any time that you were responsible for your siblings and for the other kids in the house?
You know what's crazy? The first person that asked that, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, absolutely not. I was so focused on me getting out of that situation. I said, the only tangible thing I have control over is me and my actions and behavior. That's the only thing. I can't dictate what my brother do, my sister do.
Yeah.
My brother did 14 years in prison. He's only 38. You do the math.
Yeah.
14 years in prison, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't really grow up with him when I got like 13, 14.
Yeah.
But I said, the only thing I have control over is my actions. And so I had to focus on me.
Yeah.
And that's what really
almost like a survival.
Oh, it was definitely
instinct.
What's scary is this. If I had to do it all over again, knowing what I went through, I don't know. I don't know. That's why sometimes it's good to not know things.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that a lot. And I've had people on the show that will relive the moment and be like, I don't know how I did it.
Literally.
And it seems like that is the case when you look back on it. Things in our life don't seem to be historic until we look back and then we're like, man, that was a turning point.
Yeah, and those are things. I mean, you just brought up a good point, turning points, right? Mm-hmm. We don't talk, as men, we talk about the fun things, right? But we don't like to unpack this.
Right.
For anybody.
No, yeah.
So a lot of time when we're having conversations, we're going to keep that secret because we don't want, one, being exposed, being vulnerable, being disrespected, that trust thing. So when you go through a lot, people need to expect, like, the reason he's not transparent or open with you is because of what he's been through. And he wants to be able to give you, this is my heart is my gift.
Yeah.
You break that, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of times we that's why we're not so open to share things.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. From my perspective, like, it took me a long time to figure out that I could talk to other stronger men that I respect and be like, hey, this stuff happened to me. And then I use it almost as a superpower. Like, I got hit in the face in Indonesia by their Secret Service, which buries people.
Wow.
They're like, well, we kill people. And like, I ended up crying because I couldn't be violent like I normally am.
Got you.
Because I was wearing a diplomatic badge.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And, people that I was working with, they were like, well, I couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You weren't there, man.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you're not processing like years of, it took me years to work here.
Wow.
And you're hitting me in the face and I could pretzel you.
Yeah.
Because I've been a bouncer. I've been a
Right,
combative
yeah,
instructor.
yeah.
And like that process,
Yeah.
who do you share that with? You don't share it. Well, I shared it in my book,
Yeah.
but it took me a long time to figure that out. Like,
Yeah.
who do you trust with that?
100%, man.
And it's not vulnerability.
No.
It's getting it out of you.
Yeah.
And that, I think you probably deal a lot with that, don't you?
Yeah.
So do you ever have kids that you work with where you see yourself in that same situation? You're like, dude, I've been there.
So it's funny you say that. I ran a critical care program these kids were from 10 to 17 years old. These were running the streets, gangbangers, drug dealers, right? I ran that program, and a lot of those kids reminded me of myself. Yeah. Now, I was very successful in a short period of time. Yeah. And it was so quick that they put me on a probationary period because it was like, he's the youngest dude here. How is he already a program manager? But what they fail to realize is this: what I have, you can't obtain in school. No. Right? This is experience. Yeah. And kids never attacked me, never went after me. We had to restrain kids. But the level of respect was there because real recognized real. And I seen a lot of myself in those kids. That's why I can relate to them and be patient with them. But I also said, you need a father, right? Listen, the best thing my father did was not show up, because he showed me what it means, what it means and what it takes to be a man, right? Because all I got to see is what didn't I have, and do that, period. And so as much as it sucks going through the trauma and not being able to have certain things as a man right now from your father, it was the best thing that never happened to me, because the person I am now, and people are like, you take life too serious. I'm like, if you've been through what I've been through, like, listen, if I didn't go to college, I'm Navy, Marines, SWAT. That's my mentality. Very good athlete. I ran the fastest 40 time in my high school. They didn't let me start. I didn't start sports until I was in 8th grade because they wouldn't let me go in sports.
Who's they?
The people that raised me.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And here's the crazy part. I moved out. I was technically homeless in 9th grade. I moved out the house.
All right, let's go there.
Listen, moved out. So here's the thing. I'm sleeping on the edge of a bed, sharing a room with my stepdad, really. I mean, listen, I've realized you don't know what you don't know. And I look back and say, did they treat us like trash, or did they treat us like they treat everybody? And that's when I was able to show grace, because I said they didn't know any better. So they did their best. So instead of me criticizing the circumstances, I need to be thankful that they gave me a place to stay. So you ever read the book, Obstacles is the Way? I used obstacle, and I didn't know it, to make a way for where I was going. So when I moved out, you're moving white people, etc., this is that and that. And, with some people, I was a good athlete, they brought me in. And that changed my life, because where I came from, I was in school, you're ghetto, you talk like this, you do this, and I was embarrassed. I didn't know how to clean it up. Now, mind you, I'm in special ed, man. Yeah. So I got an IEP, individual education plan, where I got people reading to me, I get notes, this is that and that. So how does that prepare me for college? It doesn't. But I am built so different that I was able to prevail. And I said, most people in my situation would die. You wouldn't be able to make it where I made it. So what they see on the outside, like you see the muscles, I'm like, you think this is strong, man? Check this out. Yeah. Check up with top, because that's the real superhero. You just think I'm some action. I'm telling you, I've been through a lot. I built a lot, and I understand life from a different perspective now. Thank God.
Yeah, amen to that. I mean, okay.
I know it's a lot.
No, that's a fantastic way of looking at it. And Obstacles is the Way. Great book. Sounds like the book cover and what the whole meat and potatoes is right there. It's you have to overcome things. I sent a Instagram post to one of my good friends, and his call sign is Rev, and he loves God, man. He's going through a lot. He's been through a lot in his life too, and the whole post, it was 2 graphics. It was what you see your life should be, and it's like a straight line to the finish line. It's like boom, and then you drop down a level, and it says what God shows you, and it has these pits and like obstacles that you have to go through. And I sent it to him. I was like, man, this is what a lot of people probably need to see.
Oh yeah.
Because they blame the wrong thing.
100%.
You're being conditioned for something in the future that you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And as a man, the responsibilities that are levied on us by society,
Yeah.
they're a lot harder than what most people will actually recognize. You know, while we talk about
100%.
issues that really don't matter in a lot of cases, the issue that you're talking about
Yeah.
is how you became a man. And you said, you know, the best thing my father could have done for me was not be there.
Yeah.
Because society's geared towards looking towards what you don't have.
Yeah.
And you saw that young, it seems
yeah.
like. When did you like really start looking at it that way?
So, man, things started to make more sense when I became a Christian in college. That's when things started to actually make sense. Everything I've been through
Okay.
started to get put together, and I was like, okay, now I'm figuring out why.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I was just like, man, this don't make sense. You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I never sat down and felt bad for myself going through all
Right.
that.
Yeah.
There was days I would go outside and cry, look up. My mother's never coming back. She would visit every once in a while.
Yeah.
The day she was supposed to take us, the social worker died, and we never went with her.
Oh my gosh.
But that might have been a blessing.
Yeah.
Now, all
Sounds
of
like
these years that I think about it, because my mother wasn't prepared to take us in anyway. And look where I am now.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, just crazy. It's just crazy. And again, like I said, in college, 2012, became a Christian, and that changed my life because I was always looking for that structure,
Yeah.
and I was always looking for that guidance, and I was so like governed in the way in which I thought that it was just a layup for me. So when a lot of people say they give themselves to Christ, and oh, I got baptized, this is that and that, and you don't see it, it's because what did you do to lead up to that point? Now, I didn't intentionally, besides being a disciple for a year,
Yeah.
I didn't intentionally mean my life to be that way, but going through hell, man, and I tell people, you're either going to get hit in the beginning of your life, in the middle, or the end. You're going to go through something,
Yeah.
period.
It happens.
And you can either become a victim or you can become a victor. You know what I mean? And for me, I said, I'm just not built to be a loser. I'm not built to be weak. I'm not built to be at the back of the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm because I'm like, and I don't try. This is who I am. I don't fake this. So I need to become a Christian because it helps me become. You ever heard that idea of a warrior in the garden?
Yeah.
It keeps me that way because I tell people like, man, listen, I know I'm not right.
Yeah.
But this helps me control it. And again, I got to be on point because you got a gardener in the war in a war now. He's good for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn how to harness a lot of things.
Yeah.
And through my experience through life, looking back and all of that, when I became a Christian, it all made sense. And I said it might not work for a lot of people, but I can promise you this based on my track record and what it did for me, you got to be crazy not to believe it. And this is not I'm not preaching.
Yeah.
I'm telling you my experience because if I take that away, what stops me from somebody disrespecting me from where I come from and me going over there? Now I got 20. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And now you're confined to something.
It's now
far
on
greater,
my point. Right.
the consequences.
Exactly.
But it's always good to go into. You said as a child, you fought a lot because you didn't like disrespect.
Right.
What's not talked about today is why men are the way they are, and I think it's because we don't get enough respect anymore.
I 100% agree.
And so seeing that as a kid and growing up and then demanding respect, it changes your perspective on a lot of things. And you probably realized really early, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably really realized that, hey, this is on me. Like the decisions I make are going to determine where I'm going to be in this situation. Is something I can control if I demand respect, if I don't put up with things. There's a lot of good quotes on that. I think one of my favorites is it's always misquoted as a Malcolm X quote, but it says it's on respect. Yeah, and it's the premise is if you allow people to disrespect you, you're teaching them how to treat you. Ooh. So if you allow things to happen in your life, and you just say, oh, it'll go away, it never goes away. No, it stays. Like 100%. People have people problems. until they don't.
Yeah.
And sometimes removing those people is the best solution.
Listen, man. And first, again, I just want to thank you again, because even sitting here, being able to talk to you about what I've been through, here's something you may not have heard before, but this is therapy for me.
Yeah.
And even though I want to plant seeds and help other people, this is what us as men need.
Yeah.
But think about all the barriers we have up of being hurt, of being afraid, of being vulnerable, of just not being a man. Like, let's call a spade a spade. It is all right for me to look at a man because of your age and say, you got to start acting like a man.
Yeah.
That's okay. Because if not, are we preparing them for the future? Right? Like, people depend on us. I'm not expecting my wife to be in my role. No, I have my position in my role, and I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But society is trying to tell us that there's no difference, or this is that, and I said that's where things took a hard left. And if you don't believe me, just go look at the evidence.
Yeah.
Look at the outcome.
For sure.
Just saying.
100%. Like, look at the social media feeds that we're all laughing at,
Yeah.
and they're saying these are men. No, they're not. There's a lot of people that aren't men on there, and they're outwardly okay with it. And to me, as a Christian man, the respect, it goes back to the respect to me. If I can demand respect, then I'm demanding respect for my family. Then my family is respected. Therefore, when we walk into a room, the things that we are bringing actually are valuable. They're not looked over because I am somebody that carries myself differently, because I have a faith that I believe in, because I take care of my body, because I know how to fight, because I've done this before, because real recognizes real.
100%. Stamp that, man. And I think that, for me, when this podcast wraps up, is going to be something I share over and over, because people need to take pride, especially men, take pride in your responsibility.
Yeah.
And understand the tangibles of what you have control over and what you don't. And be okay with saying, you know what? I might not have control over it, and that's fine. That's where my faith comes in.
Yeah. All right. So let's go high school.
High school. All right. Yeah. So
tell me about high school. So you recognize, your dad's not in the picture, and that's a good thing. So what does a man look like to you in high school?
So high school, right? I think at that point I was developing into become who I wanted to be. I wasn't there yet, so I was practicing to become that person.
Yeah.
So there was expectations laid on the wall. Like my football coach Laverde, I was like, listen, I just want to be in regular classrooms. You know what I mean? I'm not a dumb kid. I have behavior problems. And he said, if you can do A, B, C, and D, then we can look into high school. So when I got into high school, they transitioned me into, classes with people, I've seen on the football team. Like, it wasn't just these certain kids. It was like, okay, now I'm starting to feel more normal. And then a lot of things started to shift and change, because now I never felt like I couldn't do something. Now, I didn't know how much I could do. I just didn't put the limits on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a big shift changed. The medicine was gone. I wasn't taking ritalin anymore. They took me off of that. And I was pretty much a man at that point, because I was really on my own, but I was staying with people that took care of me. So technically, I still had the support I needed. But I had a few outfits, man. Went to school with chanclas, with your slippers. You know what I mean? I didn't have a lot of clothes. I didn't care. None of that mattered. As long as I ate, that's all that mattered. So in high school, my thing was proving to myself I can do this. And every day I would come to school ready for practice, get through school. I know I needed to do well, going to be able to play football and stuff. And that's what got me through. And I mean, the crazy part about my high school story, the biggest thing that happened to me in high school that blew everybody's mind was not the 4.2 I ran in my 12th grade year. First time I ever ran a 40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was, I took the SAT score. At a 1600, I got a 1320. At a 2400, because they grade them. At a 2400, I got an 1830 or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? My math score was 10 points for being perfect.
Yeah.
And they were like, what? Remember, I mean, especially like, how?
Yeah.
Right? And it took me years to realize, I said, when my back is against the wall,
You apply yourself.
there's nothing stopping me from going forward.
Heck yeah. Yeah, well, a lot of people don't get cornered. They like to stay out in the middle.
Yeah.
And
True.
you found out that, like, your true metal is is right here. And you found out numbers, which don't lie.
Yeah.
That's so good. How'd you feel like whenever you got that?
You want to know I never in my, this is why I tell people the way in which you think determines things you have no idea about. I never felt like I couldn't go to college or I wouldn't go.
Mhm.
That was an expectation
Yeah.
for myself. It was like, oh, going from middle school to high school, it was going to happen.
Mhm.
There never was a doubt. There never was a doubt.
Yeah.
Literally. And my first letter I got was from Princeton. Never was a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, but from your childhood and you're making it
Yeah.
and you have become a man early.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at, like you said, your priorities aren't what you're wearing.
Yeah.
It's where you're going.
Yes.
And so whenever you figured that out and you started to get the justification, this is clicking, this is working.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that either determines your future or your failure.
Yeah.
And I know where you went with this,
Yeah.
but like that mindset that you were in,
Yep.
whenever you got those numbers,
Yeah.
it could have went the other way.
Yeah.
You could have been like, well, see, I knew I was good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you could have sat down
Yeah.
and just chilled out in that space and then told everybody about your scores.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah. Oh,
so
I know what you're
so
saying.
that feeling,
Yeah.
it's whenever you win something, you know,
Yeah.
like you've been on stage and
Yeah.
they give you the big trophy or the big medal.
Yep.
And then whenever you get that, you're like, I worked really hard to be here.
Yeah.
I think I should feel different.
Oh man. Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's where I want to go with.
Yeah.
Because it seems like most people feel that in their 20s,
Yeah.
30s.
Yeah.
But it seems like you probably got that in high school.
So, you know what? Outside of my SAT score, which, listen, I didn't realize how good I did until I was in college. I really didn't. 'Cause
Yeah.
I didn't know the numbers. I
Okay.
didn't really understand it. So
Okay.
when we got the results back, I was with my friend Chris. I stayed with his parents. We got the letters in the mail. I opened mine up. I'm not gonna say the numbers of his score, but mine was ridiculous. And they were like, "There's no way someone must have cheated for him." No lie, no lie, right?
Heard the story on David Goggins.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Seriously. And I was just like, I don't know why people are all I'm going, listen, if I got a 520, I'm going to college.
Yeah.
Because where I come from, you figure it out, man. I don't got time to be depressed. Time goes on. Time waits for no man. And my mentality was the same way. Opportunity waits for no, I'm out. I'm gonna figure this out. And my plan literally was college. There was no plan B.
Yeah.
But in the biggest moment I had to answer your question was when I got accepted to Syracuse University and I was able to show the teacher in 5th grade, Zapula, the letter. That was probably my biggest moment. No
That's
lie.
pulling your heartstrings.
Oh
up.
yeah, man. Cause it was like, look, like, yeah, we
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
We did it. And that was great.
Yes.
That was great. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you ever feel like you were gonna fail though? Like, did you ever feel like you're gonna let her down?
So in the moments of me going through things, my primary focus is getting out of it, not the people I'm gonna let down.
Yeah.
That never occupies it's funny you say these things because I'm like, man, you missed out on a lot if you think. I never gave my time self to indulge in my feelings.
Well,
So to answer your question, no, but I always kept them like, what would they tell me in this decision? Like, prime example.
Yeah.
One year I called her, I had my first son. I called her because I didn't have enough money for a tattoo. And I love this. She said, "You are a father, a husband, and you're calling me to get money for a tattoo. Figure it out." Right? Hung the phone up and I reevaluated my what my just my basic expectations are,
yeah.
responsibilities are. Why am I? You're absolutely right. And I took that personal because I'm said I got to do better.
Yeah.
She's 100% right. Instead of taking it in the way in which I say, you know what, whatever, you don't want to support me anyway.
Yeah.
Because she didn't have to give me that advice. You didn't have to help me at all. But you never led me down the wrong way. And I said, if you trust someone, no matter what they say, you're going to take consideration to it. And that's exactly what I did. So
that seems like it's buried deep inside of you. Like the answer is, you know, we made it.
Yeah.
So she was with you on that journey since 5th grade.
Yeah.
And every time you proved yourself, you shared that with her.
Yeah.
And then whenever you called her for, advice that you knew
Yeah.
you knew the answer to,
Oh yeah.
you
That
know,
little voice in your head, you know what I'm talking about.
yeah,
That little voice.
yeah, and when you were having that conversation, whenever you were probably calling, you were like, I wonder how this is going to go.
Yeah.
And then when it went that way, you probably weren't surprised.
Nope. I was like, okay.
Because she'd been on that journey with you. But realistically, it's you and you, man.
Yeah.
Everything that you've answered from your childhood to high school is how a man would collect and be responsible for themselves in their early 20s, late 20s.
Yeah.
Not as early as you are describing them.
Yeah.
So to have somebody jump into your life at 5th grade
Yeah.
and be that prominent,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I asked the question. You ever feel like you're gonna let her down? Because she seems like she was in your life deeper than I would think you'd want to admit.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, if I can close my eyes and think about like parents, it'll be her and my
Yeah.
coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Birdie. Like people don't understand. Like, and here's what's wild. I said there's something different about me because the support I got, people got supported all through my life that I've seen. My brothers, people in school.
Yeah.
And I said, I latched on and embraced the support. Why don't most people do that? Especially when you don't have, you're acting out here as if you have the luxury not to do it. And I said, and then I had to realize, God, I thank him so much for making me who I am and how I think.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's not that common, apparently.
No.
But I said, you know what? With that comes great responsibility, right? So the best version of me, what would that look like? And that's the person I'm seeking out. I don't want to jump ahead, but that's something I'm like.
You're not jumping ahead, actually. Let's go into your coach.
Yeah.
Your coach is a man that you probably respected.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he came through with some truth, which is what men do for each other when they're trying to improve each other. So talk to me about that, like your coach and how that experience was.
Yeah.
Like what qualities did he have?
So he was, Christian man, old Italian guy from Long Island. So, very conservative, and very, very, very loving. And he always would explain, his parents, the way he grew up, he didn't see color. But he also didn't recognize struggles that people of color had because he thought everybody had it like him. So he was one of the very small amount of teachers in my school district that was, had a lot of, minority kids that all the black parents loved. He had an ability to build a relationship and be authentic. So he would say jokes, this like even racial jokes, right? And we would laugh our butt off. And we would go back and forth. And he would do it with everybody. And he had this way to do it that was coming from a safe place.
Yeah.
And he was so loving with it. He taught me things, man, from this simple. Every time you get in a car, I don't care how far you go, you put your seatbelt on. And he don't even remember. I remember getting this convertible. We would go and buy snacks for Fridays if we did well in middle school.
Yeah.
And he told me that, and it was a staple. That every time you get in a car, you always put your seatbelt on. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Does not matter. That to, he was my track coach in 11th grade. First year I did track, I went to nationals. He was my track coach. Here's where what you're talking about comes into play in terms of didn't want to disappoint. I finished every workout because I never wanted him to think I was a quitter. And there were times where I was the only one on the team that finished the workout.
I think that's key. I'm going to dig in on here.
Thanks for hitting the bullseye with Antonio Diaz, pro bodybuilder lifesaver. We have more of him and his story coming up next. We'll see you there. Thanks to our sponsors, Leaders Kit and World War Studio.